Hi, boys and girls. I hope you've enjoyed learning about these animals and learning about what a habitat is. We're now going to show you how to find out what habitat your animal has. Okay? You learned about the different types of them. I'm going to head to our next slide and we're going to go over those one more time. So, on this slide, these are the types of habitats. We have the tundra, which is kind of cold and dry. It can also have snow at times. The mountains, a forest. We have forests in Ohio. Water. We have water in Ohio. We have lakes and different things like that. Savanna is where there can be a lot of, like, the desert is, we have deserts down here. Savanna, isn't a desert. It's like a lot of grass plains, grassland, beaches, the rainforest, deserts, and oceans. So we're going to learn about these places, which you already watched a video learning about them, but I'm going to show you how to find the habitat of your animal. So here we go. So when you click, so this slide will still be in your presentation. When you click this next slide, remember, you need to do the same animal that you did in your introduction, okay? So I'm going to type my animal in here right now, guys. I'm going to be doing the Arctic fox, and we want to make sure its name is capitalized because we capitalize names, okay? So I'm going to choose the Arctic fox. You guys cannot choose the Arctic fox. So let's head back to that animal slide below the types of habitats. Here we go. So the Arctic fox is right here. You click the picture and then this pops up below and you're going to click that picture of the animal. So maybe you want to do the giraffe and then you're going to click this little link here. Maybe you want to do the rhino. Click the rhino picture there. It's going to take you to the website. Okay? So, but you can't do the Arctic fox. Only me and Mrs. Smith get to do the Arctic fox. Okay, so I'm going to click this link. It pops it up here. You guys will have many tabs up here. I know Mrs. Dilly has talked about that. All right, so here we go. Arctic fox. We're going to scroll down. And you can see, let me move my picture up to here. This is the habitat. Do you see that word right there? It says habitat. Actually, I think I can even use this little drawing tool and I can circle this. Habitat. Okay, it's right there. So look, it says your habitat, well, my habitat for the Arctic fox is in the tundra. Okay, so when I go back to write about my animal, I'm going to say it lives in the tundra. Okay, another thing that you can do is flip this over and we'll kind of erase, let's erase that really quick. Sorry, guys. Taking a little bit of your time today. Oh, come on, eraser. Okay, well, that's not working right now, so let's just go back to this. Here we go. So the tundra is one of the driest and coldest places on Earth. In winter, it is covered with ice and snow. In summer, the ground is soggy and wet. I'm going to want to remember that because I have to write about the habitat. You have to have 2 sentences, okay? So we're going to now go back. If you click this little arrow, it'll flip it for you. See, it says tundra. And then you flip it again, and then it tells you about the tundra. That little arrow is super helpful, okay? Remember that arrow. So now let's go back. We're going to click our tab up here. And we're going to go to our habitat slide. The blank lives in the blank. So here is where I type my animal because the sentence needs to make sense. So the Arctic fox, and then I'm going to click here because then there's another text box, lives in the tundra. All right, now I need to write one more sentence about the tundra. The tundra, now I just remember, it says in the winter, it is covered in snow and ice. So that's what I'm going to write. I'm going to write the tundra is covered in snow and ice in the winter. Okay, perfect. So you have to have 2 sentences. So after that slide, you're going to come to the check your writing slide. Go back to the habitat slide and use the rubric below to check your writing. I need to check for spaces. Is it on the line? Is it neat? Do I have punctuation? Do I have details? And does it make sense? So let's go back together and see how Mrs. Ice did. Okay. The Arctic fox lives in the tundra. I see a problem right now. What is my problem? I forgot a period. That's the end of my sentence. So I'm going to click that little text box again. I'm going to add my period. Okay. Now let's go down to our next sentence. Now, does our first sentence make sense? Yeah. Okay, next sentence. Let's read it together. The tundra is covered in snow and ice in the winter. There's details. It makes sense. It looks neat. There are spaces. Not my words aren't together. Like, if look, this doesn't make sense. In snow, there needs to be a space there. We're going to add a space back in there. But there is one thing missing. A period. So I'm going to go down here and add that period. Crazy. Do I have capital letters at the beginning of my sentence? Yes, I do. Okay, so I can go back to this checklist and I can say, yep, I had spaces. I was on the lines. It's neat. Punctuation, details, and makes sense. On our next slide, it says, how will I be graded? In order to receive an M, which you guys know what M's are, we've talked about it. You need to correctly fill in the introduction slide, which is up here. Remember when I typed this slide in? I chose the Arctic fox. I have to choose one from the options I gave you. All those little pictures we gave you. So I'm good there. I write a sentence stating the animal's habitat. Got it. And I write a sentence about the habitat. Yep, the tundra is covered in snow and ice in the winter. Perfect. So I would get an M. Personally, I think I would get an M. But your teachers get to grade you. All right, and then we're going to continue. We have another slide that says how you're graded, okay? To earn an M, your sentences need to make sense. There has to be capital letters in correct places and periods in correct places. We already went back and checked all that. So we know Mrs. Ice is going to get an M, which is awesome, okay? So you get a P if some of your sentences make sense. You're missing a few capitals and you're missing a few periods. Now, if any of your slides does not meet the requirement for a P, we're going to return your work to you, and we want you to go back and fix it because there's no reason to get an L on this. You guys can do it, okay? All right, so that is all we have today. Make sure you pick an animal that is on the list that we gave you. You cannot choose Arctic fox. If you copy the work I've done, you will not receive a P or M. You will be returned the work, and we will ask you to redo it. I hope this made sense, and we're really excited for you guys to learn about the habitats of these zoo animals. Have a great day and get started. Don't forget to turn it in at the very end.